Well, hi, Joe.
Hey, Hannah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's summertime.
On this warm summer day.
It is. It is.
It's I don't feel like as an adult I get to enjoy summer the way I did when I was a kid. Because, you wake up and you're like, oh, it's warm outside and I still need to go to work.
And now I need to go into an over air conditioned building.
Yeah. So I kind of miss being a kid in the summer,
Well, we're here to talk about the kids having a good time this summer.
Exactly. I know. I was like, one fun place to spend the summer as a kid has got to be at the Congdon Hub for Great Futures, which is the newest facility of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater High Point.
That's right. Yeah. They have several different branches. Across High Point, is it?
Let's see, 6 locations?
6 locations.
Yeah.
There you go. And yeah, the Congdon Hub just opened up this year, and it was really exciting to get to learn about all the things that they're doing there and walking through and just seeing it activated.
Yep.
Seeing a sanctuary converted to a basketball court.
Plus Rockwall gym.
Plus Rockwall. I mean, you can really get higher, right? In that sanctuary. Sorry, bad pastor puns here. But, of all the converted sanctuary projects I've seen, that's one of the coolest.
Yeah.
To see kids in there being mentored, building relationships, feeling loved and cared for. It's pretty incredible. And the number of meals that they're serving and having a kitchen that can support the club. I mean, all the wing for the high school students.
Yep.
It's just the opportunities that opens up to kids, I think, is incredible. And they're all there this summer taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, that facility is truly, I feel like, next to none in the High Point community. I don't know how it compares to Boys and Girls Clubs across the nation, but I think, you said opportunity, and that ties in so well with on their website. Instead of mission, they have like core beliefs, which is that, they exist to provide a safe place to learn and grow, ongoing relationships with caring adult professionals, life-enhancing programs, character development experiences, hope, and opportunity. And I think that especially with a lot of what we got to talk to Floyd and Keisha about in terms of their teen programs, it's not just a place to hang out. It's actually expanding their skill set into all of these different things that are going to promote, their character, healthy living, all of that. Yeah. And what a great resource, a resource that costs $0 for those kids to be part of.
Right.
In our community. They have, 1,300 members, and the Congdon Hub increased the capacity of what they could serve by 300%.
Right.
I mean, what a great thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's in some ways, one of the few nonprofits where we can see the full life cycle of their impact, right? Where you can see current leaders in our city, including our mayor, who have been impacted by Boys and Girls Club of High Point. And you can see it in their staff, folks who've been impacted, who you say opportunity. The world opened before them, and because of the Boys and Girls Club, they've been able to seize that opportunity. So it's kind of neat when you hear nonprofits talk about the impact that they have, but then you see one that has been around long enough for their impact to be embodied in people who are actively part of changing and building our community for the better. So it's a neat kind of full cycle impact.
I mean, what better ROI than that, right?
That's right.
To see those people become amazing leaders in our city.
But we should let Floyd and Keisha talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm excited for everybody to hear this conversation. It's really important work and an incredible organization that's doing it.
Yeah, let's take a listen. Well, hello, Floyd and Keisha. Thank you so much for being here on the show today to talk about Boys and Girls Club of Greater High Point. We are so excited. You guys have had so many big changes that have happened just in the last year. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for the whole community really to hear what's been going on. So can we just start with a brief introduction of each of you, what you do now at the Boys and Girls Club and how long you've been with the organization?
Okay, great. All right, so I'm Laskisha Sandage. I've been with the Boys and Girls Club since June of 2021, and I'm the area director here. So I run Southwest, the Congdon Hub, and Forest Hill.
Awesome.
And I'm Floyd Johnson. I'm the president CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater High Point. I've been here since August of 2019. I've been in nonprofit for about 38 years now, and about 30 of them now have been Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit more about your experience with Boys and Girls Club, because you've just been here for a little bit, but
Yes.
you have a very long history.
Yeah. It feels longer every day too. It's I can. My history starts back in the 1970s when I was a club kid in Huntington, West Virginia, and I was a member of the club there. That was an old feed store that was converted into a boys club at the time, and that's where I. About my family, we didn't own a color television set, and I got to see movies in color. And the one that really cracked me up the best or the most was The Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. I never understood The Horse of a Different Color because I'd only watched it in black and white until I went to the boys club, and then I was like, oh, that's what they mean. So because the horse would change color and everything. So, but then I went away after high school. I went to the Army, started my nonprofit career back at the same club where I was a member in 1986, and I've just worked in nonprofits since then. And the vast majority of them have been with Boys and Girls Clubs in West Virginia, a couple stops in Louisiana, a couple stops in Virginia. Took a break for about 8 years, worked at a YMCA, and then worked with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And then in 2015, got back into Boys and Girls Clubs over in Oxford, North Carolina, with a club organization over there, and then moved over here in 19. So,
oh, we've been thankful to have you here.
Oh, I love it here. It's
High Point.
It's great. Yeah, it's been a real fun experience. I get paid to play.
Well, with Boys and Girls Club, I mean, obviously there's a long history there at a national level for how this operates across the country, really. But can you share a little bit about specifically in High Point what the history has been and kind of what the impetus or need was for starting something like the Boys and Girls Club in the High Point community?
Sure. So our organization is about 25 years old now. It was originally part of the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club, and then there was a group of individuals who were on the board at the time, of the advisory board at the time, believed that there was more things that could happen in High Point and serve more areas of High Point. So they decided to kind of start their own organization with the assistance of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And so the first CEO here was Steve Morris, who is still around. He moved away several years ago, went to work for Boys and Girls Club of America, recently retired. A good friend of mine, I've known him for 20 plus years and moved around with him some, but they started the organization primarily in a lot of public housing community spaces when it first started. It's kind of morphed over the years. We will start in some place and kind of move to another place in different aspects of it. And currently, we have 5 locations here in High Point and 1 in Asheboro that we serve down there. And so we serve the Carson Stout community there. We serve Southside Community Rec Center. We have a club there. Forest Hill Presbyterian Church. We have a site there. Southwest Middle School, and then another. Our newest project is the Congdon Hub for Great Futures, which we'll talk about a little bit later about that one.
But can you say a little about how the club has changed and grown and just its recent history? I mean, the pandemic hit all of us.
Yes.
And kind of changed the landscape of childhood.
That's right.
The way they were engaging with schools, the way they're out in the community. Can you say a little bit about how the Boys and Girls Club has changed, dealt with the pandemic, what it looks like now that maybe it didn't look like 5 years ago?
Sure. Well, the pandemic kind of it just took everybody by surprise. Like one day we're going to work, the next day we're closed.
Right.
So we had to adjust real quick on the fly. And you were here, right?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, you hadn't started yet.
No.
So we made a decision as an organization that we didn't lay anybody off during the pandemic, because I was afraid that if we did that, we would lose them. They would be gone. Yeah. So we kept, even though we weren't open, we were still paying people whatever their hours were. If they were full-time or if they were part-time, they would get that amount of hours. They would do online trainings or have meetings online and stuff like that. So we closed down from March of 20, and we reopened in the summer, June 20. And then we stayed open and during summer hours for about a year and a half. So we served, because the schools didn't open right away.
Yeah, so when you say summer hours, you mean you were open every day during the day.
Correct.
Right. Schools weren't open, you all were open.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And so we started in June, and I think it was June of 20. And I can't remember, it was sometime in 21, April or May of 21 when we stopped doing the summer hours, the extended hours. We were open all day.
Yeah.
All through that time, we were fortunate to get some grants that were able to, right before the pandemic, I think we had 40 pieces of old PCs and tablets and different things, and now we have over 400 pieces, equipment, technology around the Boys and Girls Club, because we were a learning hub.
Yeah.
We work closely with Guilford County Schools to provide that structure for some of the members who didn't have internet at home. Many of our kids didn't have internet, so they came and did their work there. We were able to hire, we're really academically focused now because the kids are pretty far behind still. There's still quite a learning gap. And so we've partnered with some technology companies. One is Achieve 3000 and it's a reading assessment program. And so if a kid comes to us who's in 5th grade, but is reading at a 2nd grade level, it assesses where he or she is, sets the reading curricula for them, and then incrementally, they take 2 quizzes a week. If they score 75% or higher, they get their reading level gets raised incrementally. So hopefully, the plan is that by the end of the school year, they would be at grade level. Now, not all of them reach that, but
that's a big jump.
Yeah,
right?
It is a big jump. Right. But we had the one that I just referenced, the 5th grader was reading at a 2nd grade level. By January, he was up to 4th grade. So
that's incredible.
So he was good, but he was, he's one of those kids that was really motivated.
Yeah.
Because we incentivize a lot of things. We give prizes out and.
Nintendo Switches.
Yeah, talk about some of the things.
You give what?
Nintendo Switch. So
I think a Switch would incentivize.
Yes, one of the great things is we just did a raffle for a Nintendo Switch. If they were able to be at our goal by this time of the year, and we put their name into a raffle, and everybody is welcome to it. It's just that it gives them that added motivation that they need to say, hey, I can do this. I want to do this. And this is what I need in order to meet my goal.
So we've kind of talked about different ages and grades and all of that. Can you tell me what is the age range that the Boys and Girls Club serves? Who's eligible to be in attendance?
We have kindergarten through seniors.
Oh, okay. So it's the whole, whole school age.
5. They have to be at least 5 in kindergarten.
Okay.
And then we'll take them all the way through high school, through graduation.
So Keisha, as an area director, I'd love to hear just kind of, what does that day-to-day kind of look like at the club? How do you serve a 5-year-old all the way up to an 18-year-old potentially? What are some of those programs like?
So some of the programs that we do is because we have our, we're very heavy grant funded. We're able to have licensed certified teachers, which comes 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursday from 4 to 5 o'clock. As soon as the kids arrive, we break them up into their groups. Each of our groups are separated by their age group. And then we have something that we define as power hour, which gives them the chance to do their homework. And then we feed all of our kids, which is great because they're able to receive a hot meal. And then we just go on about our day between their programs, contracted services, and just give them everything that they need.
That's awesome. What are some of those, I guess, additional things that they may be able to do outside of that learning, tutoring, academic space?
One thing we had was martial arts. The kids absolutely love the martial arts. It's the discipline and being able to be engaged. We had dance, art therapy also comes out where they're able to paint. We have poetry workshops for the kids as well.
And yoga?
Oh, yeah. And they have yoga teaching them mindfulness.
That's awesome.
Wow. I mean, I just think when a lot of us naively think about what's going on at like a Boys and Girls Club, I think we picture like kids hanging out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So for
your kids are not hanging, like they're not just hanging out.
Right.
They're getting exposed to all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we for a lot of time, for a long time, Boys and Girls Clubs were typically kind of labeled as like a swim and gym. Some places had swimming pools and
play some basketball, and hang out and stay out of trouble.
The one of the former mottos that the club had was the club that beats the streets. And so that, that was up until like the early 80s, and but now our motto is great futures start here.
Yes.
So we really focus on a lot of different, exposing kids, from early on to really kind of see that there's a great big world out there, and that you don't have to just live in on your little corner of it, right on your block. You can get out there. And one of the other things we do as an incentive is for all the stuff that we ask them to do that Keisha just referenced. At the end of the year, the kids who did that the past 3 years, we've taken them to Carowinds, and so we've taken them on a trip. We charter buses with the bathrooms on them and everything. And so, and to be honest with you, some of the kids are more impressed that there's a bathroom on the bus than with Carowinds. Than with Carowinds.
So I love that shift. I mean, it's a subtle shift, but I love that shift from a motto that's a little bit more reactive to something that's a lot more proactive and positive.
Right.
And something that Joe said on our first episode that's really stuck with me is that looking at things from a resource asset perspective as opposed to a need-based perspective.
Right.
And so I'm sure that some of the needs and challenges have shifted a lot since those years in the 70s and 80s. But what are some of the, biggest challenges that you see facing a lot of the youth in High Point? But more so, what are some of those resources and assets that help, overcome those challenges and set up that great future for them to start?
Yeah, I think that academics is still very much a need here. There's not. I don't know. We have very few kids on reading level.
Correct.
I would say that. There's still the societal kind of pressure still.
Sure.
Peer pressure, media influences have kind of increased. With all the stuff that's going on, cyberbullying, that kind of thing. So we. I'm not in the clubs as much as I used to be. So Keisha, you may want to. There might be some other things that she's in.
Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, give you the insight. I have to agree. The academics is a need, but also installing resilience into our kids and allowing them to know that we love you, we care for you, and we're here for you. So naturally, when the kids come in, they don't understand this yet. But as you're there every single day, you're talking to your kids, you're asking them like, hey, how are you doing? And when you make that connection, they understand that, hey, this person really loves me, they care about me, and they want me to succeed. And so making that connection, and the connection itself is a need that opens up the door for a bigger opportunity for them. So they're allowed to have that buy-in. And that's literally what the kids are doing. That's what we're creating, a buy-in so they're able to succeed in life.
When you look at a kid, and I'm sure you can picture some in your mind, who've been really successful because of the club, where you've seen the impact on their life, what is it that makes that happen? Like what are they pulling on from the club? What assets do you all have that allow those kids to be successful or help them be successful? Like, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about maybe even a kid that you're picturing who has been successful because of the club, and like how that works.
It's literally creating that relationship. Mm-hmm. Everything starts with a relationship. It's just like, you have experience with your teachers. They see something in you. And because we're able to see something in them, they're like, okay, this is what I did today, Miss Keisha, or their group leader. This is the grades I had because we get the report cards. So we get all of our kids' report cards each quarter, and we're monitoring them. We receive their progress report. We're having the conversation. Hey, this is your grade? I know you can do better. So because we're creating that buy-in and we're implementing something in them, they're just like, okay, what next? What do you have next? They may not always buy it in the beginning. Please hear me out. But it's literally...
Some must not love that you have their report card.
No, some don't, because I'm like, hey, I saw your report card. What are we going to do about it? Yeah. So we present the question to them. They're answering the question. By them answering the question, that means that now we have a contract, a verbal contract, and I'm going to hold you to it.
Wow. I'm just thinking about, as boards and donors and people that kind of look and support these sort of organizations, you all have describe such an incredible shift in what you all do that I'm curious on the board side, like how you get a board to kind of shift from we're a swimming gym, we're a place to hang out, to like we have a serious academic mission to help these kids be successful in life, to people who want to donate into an organization, and often it's a program or technology or something. But Keisha, what I hear you saying is like, it's the people. Mm-hmm. If you want to support kids and being successful, we've got to pay good people to be there, to be those mentors, to be those guides. And those kind of old days of like, well, what's your administrative cost?
Right.
How much you paying your people? We got to get that cost down so we can be more efficient. It's like, no, I mean, like the people are the key.
It's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've got, I've got a long storied career, and some of the kids, I call them kids, but they're in their 40s and 50s now, so because I've been in it so long. And this one young man comes to mind. He just turned 47. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he had a tough life. He had a tough life, but he remembers, like when we chat on Facebook or something, one time he said, hey, you remember that time you took us to play capture the flag back on that ridge up at, I grew up in West Virginia, so we had ridges and hollows. So I'd take them out in the woods and let them, and they would beat the crap out of each other and everything, and just trying to capture the flag.
These were the
and
80s.
Everything.
They could do these
that's
things,
right. That's right. And no phones either, no camera phones. Right. So, but it was all in fun, good fun. But he remembers those kind of things, right? It's not the smart moves lesson where we teach abstinence, but you learn that along the way about gateway drugs and stay away from them. But it's the fun things, it's the interactions, it's the friends that you make along the way and the experiences you have. The same kid cried. He had to we had a summer camp there where we could take them for a week, and they would stay Monday through Friday at this camp. It was a 4-H camp. He cried that one year because he couldn't go because he had had a tooth that was severely abscessed, swollen, like he couldn't shut. We brought him back as a junior counselor just so he can have that weekly experience. So with working with the younger kids, because we knew that he valued it so much. So this guy retired from the Army now. He started a second career as a teacher. He has 2 grown children. So he's kind of embodies the mission of what we try to do, create productive, responsible, and caring citizens. He's trying to start a Boys and Girls Club in Tennessee where he grew up, where he's living now.
I was going to say too, like when you were sharing, Keisha, just about the relational aspect, and then Floyd, what you just said kind of compounds this. It sounds like those relationships then breed kind of these generational champions of Boys and Girls Club. And I know that you have quite a few former club kids on staff, on the board. So tell us a little bit about kind of what does that look like to have that generational impact happening in High Point from these club kids staying in the club, but then also going on to support and serve other kids who may be club kids.
What, you share about Kiera, and then I'll share about some of the board.
That's what I was going to do.
Y'all are on the same wavelength. Yes.
Right.
One of my unit director, Kiera, she's actually a former club kid. And now she is a unit director. And this is where what she loves about her job is she'll tell me all the time, I used to be them. I used to be them. So she knows what it takes for her to get to where she's at right now. So she knows about the routes and the destination. So she's able to actually implement what she needed as herself when she was a kid to do that now. So that way we might in the future have another unit director that was a club kid.
I love that.
And at the board level, we have 3 alumni from our organization. Justin Thompson grew up in our Southside Club.
Shout out Captivate Media.
That's right.
Love y'all.
Captivate. And Raven Jefferson, the city's first lady. She attended our Carson Stout Club, and then Dr. Krishanda Rory attended Carson Stout Club as well. So they're now on our board and helping to influence policies and decisions of a much older board. We have members that are in their late 50s and early 60s, and so it's nice to have that young, fresh perspective that sometimes is very often needed.
Well, especially as we were saying, because there's a shift in how boys and girls clubs operate, right? And like helping a board understand the depth of your mission now and what you're doing, and even just listening to the difference from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic of how important it is that you're emphasizing the academics, you're engaging the kids, you're really trying to mentor and be there with them. Speaks, I think, to the assets that you all have as a club.
Right.
And I think you all are adding a major asset to your club, and this is the Congdon Hub.
Yes.
That you've mentioned. I'm wondering if you say a little bit about it. I've gotten a chance to tour, but I haven't seen the kids in action at the Hub yet. So how?
Yeah, it's some really great space. We a couple years ago we purchased the former Rankin Memorial Methodist Church. 3 Methodist churches kind of melded into one, and so there was some excess property. Now we were in there from July 20. We were renting space for our admin offices. For years we had partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters to share office space, but they decided they wanted to buy their own building. So we were looking around, and we had a site at Ward Street Methodist Church. And that was one of the churches. And so Pastor Crawford over there, I was talking to her. She said, well, you can use it. We're not using this church, so why don't you rent it from us? So we did. And it's a beautiful building. It was built in the late 50s, early 60s. It's very solid, constructed cinder block and brick, and it just a very solid building. And so we started talking, and we decided to buy it. And so we converted. It's about 25,000 square feet.
Okay.
And so we have one side is it's 3 levels. Our top floor is our admin offices. We have it there. Our middle floor is elementary school. We have an assembly area, largest gathering area in the basement. We have a kitchen in there, and then we have a teen center wing. So we have a dedicated teen space. Now that's something really great for us because that's about 6 rooms that are dedicated only to middle and high school kids.
Nice.
Most of our clubs now only have a room, right? Because just for space and everything. So
they all really get their own space.
Yeah, they get their own space, and it helps to segregate the ages. We've also converted the sanctuary into a small gymnasium. So it has about an 8-foot tall rock climbing wall in it. And they do horizontal. I wanted to go vertical, and I wanted to have...
It is a sanctuary, right? It's supposed to take you up.
Exactly. I wanted to go vertical, and I wanted to have kids throw dodgeballs at the kids
climbing. These are from those old capture the flag days, right?
Exactly. But that got vetoed. Bradley Gibson's our board chair, and he's in the insurance business. So.
He is an insurance guy. He's watching your risk.
His middle name is No. So, but it's a great space. The kids, we started serving kids, January 5th, right?
Yes, sir. January 5th.
And we started serving February 5th. We started serving teens. So why don't you tell a little bit about the kids' reactions and what they're doing now?
Yeah, tell us. I mean, when these
You'll
kids came in,
be surprised that one of the biggest compliments we have is nice, clean bathrooms.
Oh.
They absolutely love it. They love the building. They love that it's their space because some of our kids came from Oak Hill, which means that we're in the cafeteria, and then we have the library and the gym. So now they have their own classrooms. They have their own little cubbies to put their items up, and they absolutely love it. They're so grateful for it because it's their space. And so taking that ownership and knowing that this is where they come in to each day, and they absolutely love it. The teens appreciate that they're able to be separate because, they're grown.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, they're grown.
Right.
But they appreciate that. And so now we're just recruiting. We have our teen summit, which is March the 15th, which will be a party for the teens to increase our recruitment as well.
That's awesome.
And it's not just rooms for teens. Like you have some additional equipment. Say a little bit about what they can experience in these rooms.
We have a studio that we're having for the kids. In addition, we have extra games, and extra games is so much fun.
What are extra games?
So extra games, like Dance Revolution.
Okay.
Yes, so the kids will be able to do that. It's actually on our elementary and our teen side as well.
Okay.
So our extra games. And this is additional that they'll be able to use because a lot of our teens are athletic, and which gives them a chance not just to come for that as well, for the extra games, the gym that they absolutely love because basketball is like the number one thing for all of our kids, even our elementary. So those are some great added features.
And our gym's striped for basketball, volleyball, and pickleball. So we're going to introduce some other sports to them. The best extra game thing I like about is that there's a recumbent bicycle that they have to pedal, and they play a game. Well, when they stop playing, they die. So we're trying to force
cycling,
keep movement. So.
Okay.
Hopefully, we've got an AED close if some kid wants to break a world record or something. So just in case, and then we also have an esports room that is it's really great. It gives them the capacity to join a virtual community. And to play esports with other boys and girls clubs, high schools around the league and everything like that. We want to make our space available to High Point Central because when they start an esports team, we want them to come over because I think that they don't have the space in their school right now. And we're only a half mile away. So we can figure that out. We welcome that partnership.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest areas, growing areas for college scholarships is esports.
Blew my mind, Joe, that 170 colleges are offering, and when back in the day, the parents would say, "Get off that thing! You're not going to do anything with it." Well,
you
now
get
you
full
can
ride
go
to college for that,
and record yourself,
right?
Because they can translate those esports skills directly to aviation. Is one of the big areas.
Yeah.
I know air traffic control is desperately in need of people, and they're showing how easily those skills can translate to agriculture, to drone use. Like, it's kind of crazy when you start going down the esports rabbit hole of how quickly it connects to career opportunities.
You're exactly right, because it's not just the gaming platform, it's the coding, it's the workforce readiness. Like, they have to learn to market, they have to learn to broadcast, because we have the capacity to they can go live on Twitch through our we've got it set up. They can do podcasts at our club.
And this is a crazy thing. Some of us I played games growing up.
Right.
But the idea that people get online by the hundreds of thousands to watch other people play a video game.
Right.
So when you're saying they produce it, like you have teens who have to produce what the other teens are playing so people can watch it.
Right.
It's mind-blowing.
It's a whole different world.
And then our recording studio too, we're going to have digital music, but then also video. We're going to have a green screen in there so they can do whatever they do.
They can do these podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. They can do that. And so we're working with to to get somebody in there to help guide them along the way. And we want to treat that as a workforce development thing too. That.
I mean, you've listed so many programs. I've been to the space. It's huge. It's awesome. What does the capacity look like for this? I mean, how many kids are being served across the clubs? But then what kind of staff and volunteer needs do you guys have to make sure each of those kids is getting supported with that relational component?
Yeah, so the building can hold over 400 kids a day.
Okay.
So through all the spots when we do the capacity and everything like that. Right now we've got about 100 plus coming through. Yes. We get about about 85 kids or so in the elementary schools coming. And then we have about 20 to 25 teams that are starting to come.
That's just at the hub?
Or just at the hub.
Okay.
Just at the hub.
So that's when you're saying you're recruiting now.
Right. We're actively
you're
recruiting.
Actually able to add capacity.
Yes.
That you didn't have before.
That's right. And so that's just awesome. To put this in perspective, last year we operated we had a total of 10 locations last year. We've consolidated some since the hub's come online, but we served about 385 a day at 10 locations. Okay. The hub alone can serve over 400 by itself. And that we still have 5 other locations. So we have the capacity now to serve about 900 kids a day, whereas before, so, probably 300% increase in capacity since we brought the hub online.
And so what does that take? I mean, I know you're digging into budgets,
right.
So you're looking to we have building capacity for this,
right?
But from a staff perspective, what do you have to add? And as Hannah was saying, staff and volunteers, and if people want to get involved with you, what does it take to really grow to serve that full capacity?
So we have some staff ratios. We don't want to exceed 20 kids per staff. Ideally we want to work on a 1-to-15 ratio. So we want to have each floor, each area should have at least 6 staff a day. In the hours we're open, and we're open from 2 to 7 for elementary school, and we're going to be open from 3 to 9 for the high school, because high school gets out later. So we're going to give them 4 or 5 hours a day also. If somebody has a love that they love to do and they want to come volunteer, if they want to come and teach music lessons or art lessons, anything, knitting. Some of our kids, we actually had a knitting club
at Carson Stout
Club several years ago that before I came over here, one of our youth of the years here, a young lady named Michelle, gifted the First Lady, Governor Cooper's wife, a knitted scarf that she had knitted at the Boys and Girls Club.
That's really sweet.
So it was part of our legislative day, and so that was a kind of cool thing to do. And so anything out there, photography, if you just want to come read with a kid or play sports, help coach soccer. We want to partner with Carolina Corps is coming, so we want to do some workshops with them to come in and do some different things, expose the kids to soccer or football, as the rest of the world knows it.
Yeah, right.
Very cool. Well, Keisha and Floyd, one thing that I would love to hear both of you speak on is, at the end of that graduation ceremony, when a kid's crossing the stage at their school and they've been a club kid, what do you want to be true of that child's experience with the club? How do you want the club to have impacted them really for the rest of their life?
So for me, I want the kids to be able to say, this was my home. Because whenever I think about a home is something, a comfort, love, fellowship, laughter, all of that. And so when they leave, I really want them to be able to say, I enjoyed my time there. But then they also know that they're welcome back to volunteer. I actually come from Sand Hills Boys and Girls Club in Moore County, and that's where I worked for about 5 years. And our previous Youth of the Year, Shadiman, she actually just graduated from college, from ECU. And prior to that, before I left, she was volunteering. She would come back and she would volunteer days like that. And that's what I wish for the kids, whoever leave us, just to come back to say, yeah, this was my home. I receive a lot here. even tell us stories like Floyd was saying, stories that they remember, because those are the moments that allow us to continue, that we're able to say, this is why I do what I do.
Although they're going to come back now and see the hub and be like,
I didn't have this when I was there.
I didn't have this.
Right.
You all have it so lucky.
Right. Exactly.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say that just really for the kids to really go back to being productive, caring, responsible citizens, being contribute to the world, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And, we're not a panacea for every kid. There are kids who come, they don't like it, they go different ways. But, we served over 1,300 kids last year. And the one thing that I failed to mention early, we do all this stuff for zero cost to the families and to the kids. So, that to me really motivates me, because there are a lot of organizations will charge weekly fees and different things like that. We don't do that. We fundraise, we write grants, we do different things like that to find the money out there. So there is no cost involved with this, but to go and to be like that young man I mentioned earlier, Tony, and want to start a club because he felt kind of compelled to because there wasn't one in his area. He lives in a rural part of Tennessee, so he was talking to the mayor, and he said the mayor calls me the Boys and Girls Club guy now, and that's a big thing because he's out there promoting it. And so just to kind of give back, however, even if it could be another organization, they can get involved with anybody. The Y does some good work. There are Big Brothers Big Sisters, all kinds of. Find something and get plugged into the community and get involved and become engaged.
Well, that's a good plug too for not just your club members, but all of our listeners, right? Everybody who needs to support you all, because you're doing this huge service to these kids, but also to our whole community. Yeah. And I guess I'd just ask, is there anything you want to make sure that the wider community, the listeners to this podcast know, or what can they do to support you all?
Well, we would encourage them to come by. You can look us up online at hpclubs.org. You can call. Our number is 336-882-2582. I think I'm extension 201. So if you want to call and ask for
if you want to get directly in touch with Floyd,
if I'd like to send a fax, what's the fax number?
It's a little variation. Instead of I've got it, but I can't. It's on my business card.
We'll put all this in the show notes so people can immediately go and get in touch.
Yeah, they'll find it. But come by, see what we got going on. Come between 2 and 7, see the kids in action, see the smiling faces. One thing that the first day, I mentioned one of our alums, Krishanda, who's on our board, her daughter attends our club at Oak Hill that moved over. Oh, wow. And the first day she went to pick her up and she said, "Mama, you told me it was going to be nice, but you didn't tell me it was going to be this nice." It's just wonderful to see, somebody who's come back, who's contributing in community and who trusts us enough to have her own child in our organization. We really, and that's the thing too, we appreciate the parental trust. 60% of our kids come from single parent families. Most of them are single moms. And so this enables a lot of parents to have peace of mind after school, that their kids are being taken care of, they're being fed. We served over 88,000 meals and snacks last year. So, there's a lot of food insecurity with many families. And so we do those kind of things. So I would encourage anybody who wants to come learn more about us and see how they can fit in and help us.
That's great. Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank y'all so much. This has been so inspiring. I got chills multiple times when y'all were talking about stuff. So that's always fun. And we are just so excited to continue to support the awesome work that you guys are doing. So
thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, that was a good episode.
It was. Yeah.
When you started this saying that it costs nothing to participants.
Right. Doesn't mean it costs.
Doesn't mean
as we know,
it costs nothing to run, right?
Right.
And one of the things I sit and listen to this and think, I mean, what an incredible resource. We all have to come together and rally around it.
Yeah.
The Congdon Foundation provided a lot of resources to get the physical plant of the Congdon Hub up and ready for kids. And they're ready for kids, but they also, like, one, it costs a lot to operate a facility like that, but also to staff it so that you actually can have the total number of kids that it can actually serve be there. Yeah. So I know they're trying to ramp up staffing still, and that takes money. So show notes. Donate. On where to give, right?
Yeah. And if you feel like you're not able to give financially at this time, Floyd made the great point that if you have an interest, it's something that you can use to volunteer. Yeah. Because they have so many clubs and opportunities with those kids. And I mean, that's what better way to use your time and giftings than to be able to share that with a student who in the future may end up, wanting to be part of that as well. So I think they're pretty much open to any hobby and talent that someone would want to volunteer.
Well, and, for our community, it's also like trying to see all of these kids as our kids.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And that's reaching out and getting to know them and volunteering and being in the space. So just to reiterate, like, the money is important and they need it, but these kids need to know they're our kids. They're part of our community. We embrace them. People in our community want to come and be part of their lives and mentor and share their passions and hobbies and excitements with them. And we need to show as a community that we're supporting all of our kids. Yeah. So get engaged. Yep. Check out the show notes.
Yep. Yes. Get in the show notes, find ways to give, find ways to volunteer. And thank you to the Boys and Girls Club for the amazing work that you do and for being on the show with us today. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah. Thank you to our technical producers at Captivate Media. We will see you here next time.